Hey y'all, I'm going to talk about Saas and how it's a really important part of your cloud strategy. I'm Gina Rosenthal, also Gina Minks. It's a long story about my name. But I've worked in IT for about 15 years. I have data center experience, that kind of thing. I'm a vExpert, EMC elect this year. Right now I work as a product marketing manager for EMC spanning backup for Office 365. I live in Austin via Florida. That's where I'm from. You can find me at gminks if you can take all the stuff I tweet all the time. Love to talk to you after this. But first of all, I want to talk about Saas. And to talk about Saas, we kind of have to go back to the origins, back to the beginnings of IT. And when we think about how we protect data on premises, this is what we protect. We protect everything in the data stack. So everything from administering the users, to the data, to the application, to virtualization, to hardware, everything that's involved. And we protect that two ways. One way is via backups. And backups are of the data, sometimes, always the application. Sometimes we'll do the VMs, and sometimes we always do the OS. Sometimes we'll do the actual virtualization, the VMs, or we actually do the hypervisor server. And then we also have backups for disaster recovery. And the way disaster recovery, we have that, we back up the hardware, the network, all of the things that go into being able to keep availability. So we've always done backups for these two reasons: for near time restoring the data if somebody accidentally loses it, and then for if there's a huge disaster. So things kind of change when you go to cloud, and cloud is kind of a different thing to everybody that you talk to it about. These are the widely accepted cloud deployment models. You always have to tie these back to on-premises, how we handled things on premises. We just talked about that. You're responsible for everything. And IaaS or PaaS, you're responsible for less and less. But you go to a cloud provider because you trust them and you want them to manage your virtualization. You want them to manage the hardware. You want to handle the data, the application, the OS. When you move to a SaaS provider, you want the SaaS provider to handle everything. You want them to handle the application on down in the stack, and you're left with just handling the users, the data, and the application administration. And you'll notice that the one box that says data is in blue. When you go to a SaaS application, you as the organization don't have access to that hardware stack anymore. So you share that responsibility of protecting data with your SaaS provider. So SaaS, we heard it was kind of nice this VMworld, the very first keynote, talked a lot about SaaS, and VMware is getting more and more into the SaaS business, helping organizations do that. This is from a report called Okta Business at Work. Okta is an organization, and what they do, they have a platform where they sit on an organization's network, and they watch and help an organization monitor and restrict data access from their users out to SaaS applications. So with that data, since they're watching so many networks, they can see how popular different applications are. So this chart, which is a total eye chart, and I'm sorry for that, shows Microsoft Office 365 is well and away more popular and more used than even Salesforce right now. And Salesforce is kind of the grandfather in this industry. It was the first big enterprise SaaS application. Here's the top four and how long these have been around, which is kind of interesting. I found this interesting. Salesforce has been around since 1999. That's 17 years we've been dealing with SaaS, or not dealing with SaaS, to be honest. Office 365 came out before Google Apps for Enterprise did. No one believes me, but it's true. We didn't have Google Drive until 2012. I was kind of surprised about that as well. But even these two collaboration applications have been used by enterprises for several years now. And then Box has been around for 2005, and of course that's just a file sync and share application. Okay, so that's great. They've been around for a while. SaaS is here. It's really important to realize what SaaS does and what your organization is using it for. So you've got the file sync and share. So you use it to share files. You use it to do your email. You use it to chat. If you use it for customer relationship management, that's what Salesforce is. All of the information about all of your customers and what they do is there. So basically, it equals everything your organization's workers are doing to build the products or the services that you go to sell. The data that's created in these collaboration SaaS applications are really important to protect, because you're going to need that to build the stuff you're building to sell, to make profit and keep your company going. So after all of that, obvious, SaaS isn't shadow IT anymore. It's something we need to pay attention to, because that data is critical to keeping business operations up from day to day. Now I'm going to tell you something really scary, though. you have a lot less control with Saas. This is going back to that the model. When you have a Saas application, let's take Office 365, and that's what I'm going to talk about because that's what I'm the most familiar with. You can manage the data policies, you can manage users, and the data. And the data policies, the application administration, kind of depends on the Saas, what they will allow you to actually manage. You can't have admin rights to any of these applications, or the servers, or the VMs, or the hypervisors. You can't access the hardware stacks. You'll never be able to snap the EDBs in Exchange. You don't get to touch any of that. That's why you go to cloud. That's what they do for you. So what can go wrong? And I'm going to breeze through these really quick. Think about what do your users do now that cause problems that you have to go and do a restore for them so that they can take care of things. So this example is Exchange Online. What's great about Exchange Online is it uses the same types of folders and retention periods as Exchange on premises. The only thing is you have restrictions on how long those can be. So if a user deletes mail and goes to the deleted items folder, it stays there indefinitely. Problem is users can skip that folder altogether, or they can purge from that folder at any time that they want to. Once something's deleted out of the deleted items folder, just like in Exchange on premises, it goes to the recoverable items folder. This folder you can't change the retention time on. And Office 365, it's by default 14 days. You can extend it to 30 days. At the 30 days, an admin can get in it and our user can get in it, and it's called single item recovery. You can do one item at a time to recover. So if you have a VP that blows away a folder, you're going to have to, if there's hundreds of items in the folder, it'll take a long time to do it. Users can also purge out of this folder at any time, and when they do, it's bounced off the tenant and that data is gone forever. OneDrive for Business is the same. OneDrive for Business is a part of SharePoint. It came from SharePoint. So it has the same recycle bins and secondary recycle bins that SharePoint Online has. So if a user deletes data that's been shared with them, it goes in the recycle bin of the user who owns the data in OneDrive for Business. So why that can be a little tricky is they may or may not notice that the users they've shared that file with have deleted it. And if it's deleted, it has 90 or 93 days, depending on which Microsoft doc you trust. It'll automatically go to the secondary recycle bin, and then again after 90 or 93 days, it gets bounced off the system. Again, in those two scenarios, a user can delete and purge from either one of those folders at any time that they want to. What about the admins? What do? They make mistakes because they're people. The other thing is there's a life cycle management that really don't talk about, and I hear from customers a lot that they didn't know that as you have users come and go out of an organization, if you delete their license from Office 365, you have 30 days before all that data is purged. So if you have someone that's been with the company for several years and they have a lot of data, historical data, and you're expecting to go and recover that the same way you would have recovered it on premises with your backup systems, that won't happen because no one's doing a backup for you. And that's something I really encourage everybody to look at. Like, what are these processes that you have that for onboarding users, for managing the security, for all these kind of reportings that you do now? You need to find an application that's SaaS-based that understands Office 365 to make sure as you go to Office 365, you're able to do that same reporting. This is just real quick, a question asked to IT support, so you guys from Microsoft support, so you don't think that I'm making this up. There's no way after 30 days to retain that data unless you've backed it up someplace. And ransomware, really quick, this can also impact SaaS applications. So the way it works is if there's a phishing scam, they convince somebody to open up, it's usually all delivered lots of times by Exchange, which means it can also get delivered to Office 365. They try to trick people into opening up documents, which are usually Office-based, and then it tries to trick them. More recently, we've seen a lot of turn your macros on. You get the best results from this document. So the virus will install in the background until it's encrypted everything, and then what it will do is, depending on your sync clients that you have, if you're in Office 365, right now it's limited because the newer modern sync clients that everyone's using can't sync shared files. But for that one user that downloaded that virus, if they have their sync client on, that change for that file to be encrypted by the ransomware is seen as a change, and then it syncs automatically to Office 365, and then those files are locked up. And the more malicious thing we've seen is on premises. If it's mapped or unmapped drives, it will go after and find anything that it can get to from that end device and lock them up, and then you're also in trouble. And so these are just some examples really quick showing, yes, what happens, can Microsoft recover this data because you have it if I get my files encrypted by ransomware? This is saying, yes, you absolutely can get ransomware that will move from a sync client into OneDrive for Business. Their recommendation is either you have a backup or you have your version set on. And the only way to do this in bulk is if you have backups, because Microsoft will only allow you to do things one by one. So the lesson here is you have to have backup and recovery to protect your data, because Microsoft won't. And if you even think about the NIST cybersecurity framework, backups have always been the last line of defense. We have all of this other stuff: identify, protect, detect, and respond. They're all for preventing these ransomware viruses to come in. But we've always been the last line of defense. Microsoft even said it. So you want to have something that protects your domain if something like this happens, so you can return to good. Lots of people think, well, you know what, Microsoft is going to take care of me. They're going to take care of my backups for me, right? That's just not how it works. It's just not how it works. So that responsibility, we've already talked about it, it's shared. The provider is going to take care of anything to do with what you would have taken care of for DR. They won't take care of human errors, any kind of programmatic errors. So if you have Salesforce and you have a marketing automation process and software, if it clobbers everything you have, Salesforce can't take care of you. It won't take care of hackers or malware. Anything that they do, anything that SaaS providers do for data protection is for them, for their business, because their business is to keep that software up and running. Microsoft's SLA for uptime is 3 nines. That's what that backup and recovery is for. Your business is taking care of all of that data that your end users are using and collaborating with to build your business. So SaaS data is a business asset. So what's a girl to do? All of these things happening in our data centers. How do we protect that data that we can't get to? You have to have data protection. You would never have had these applications on premises and not protected them. So you need to look and get a data protection product and think about, what will I do if one of these things happens to me in my environment? How will I get back to where I was and keep my business going? So you're responsible for your SaaS. It's not your SaaS data. It's not a big scary monster. Protect the domain you have and back that SaaS up.